Welcome to Accelerate My Practice. So glad you joined me today. Today I want to talk about progress versus perfection. So often I have people who are like, hey, I want this end result. I listened to what you said. I want this outcome, and it's just going to be perfect and amazing, and I got to have this, which is admirable. I love having clarity about what you want. The question becomes, which one do you enjoy more, the outcome or the process? And I was interviewing someone recently, and this guy, really nice guy, coaches football, I think it was, Pee Wee football. And I asked him the question. I said, "Are you a process guy or a results guy?" He goes, "Well, I think I'm a process guy." And I said, "Doesn't quite sound like it to me." And so we had a little further dialogue about this. And the question became, do you enjoy, in this case, using the coaching example, do you enjoy being in the muck and the mire of the day-to-day coaching? Or do you want to see your team in the Super Bowl winning the game? And you don't want to do all the dirty work to get there. And we all kind of want the result, of course, but are we willing to do the dirty work? And can we enjoy that process? Because if we can't, then oftentimes it's hard or impossible, or we never start. I love how Tony Robbins put it. He said, perfection is the lowest standard possible. And when you first hear that, you think, that's crazy. How can perfection be the lowest standard possible? And the reason why it's the lowest standard possible is because it's impossible and you can't do it. And so many people never ever start because they're waiting for the perfect plan. They're waiting for the perfect opportunity. They're waiting for all kinds of things to be perfect. And it doesn't work that way. I saw another video once of this couple proposing. It was like this millennial proposal. It's hysterical. In hindsight, probably should have had it here. But there's this couple getting ready. This guy getting down to do his proposal to his soon-to-be wife, if she says yes, and she's like, she stops him before she says yes and says, "I assume you have a videographer." He's like, "Yeah, right over there." She's like, "Yeah, but that shot's all wrong. You got to have this shot. Here, let's rearrange it. Do it again." And so it ends up to be like 30 different proposals because it's not quite right, and hilarious because she wants this perfect proposal. Perfection is the lowest standard possible. Another example, I had a friend of mine probably about 8 years ago now, was talking to me while I was driving this one day about how she wanted to start this business. And I said, "Well, what's it about?" She gave me the short version. I was like, "Well, what are you waiting for?" She goes, "Well, I'm working on the plan." And I said, "Well, what's holding you up?" She goes, "Well, the plan's just not right yet." Okay. Having a good business plan, something you learn in business school, good idea, of course. But, talk to me more about that. How long have you been working on this plan? She goes, "Well, like 5 years." And I almost started laughing, and I didn't want to be rude, but I almost started laughing because I'm thinking to myself, you're waiting for this perfect plan? It's not going to happen. Now, I'm the opposite extreme. I kind of tend to shoot first, then aim later, which is probably also not good either. Because I tend to just come in, I do not have anywhere near a perfect plan. I just start doing it knowing I'm going to have to perfect it as I go along, or maybe improve it's a better way to phrase it. So I just am wanting to make progress towards whatever the end result is that I'm after, and I don't care about having it perfect. And again, the right answer is probably somewhere in the middle. So you have to ask yourself as you sit here, thinking about this perfect outcome I want. Am I willing to make progress toward it, or am I just going to sit and wait for it? Lots of you have seen the example I've used relative to this in our kickoffs, where I'll sit there with money in my hand and go, who wants this $20, $50, $100 bill, t-shirt, whatever the example is I happen to choose that time. And it's amazing how many people raise their hands and go, I do. And I ask it, for those of you that have seen this, over and over again and again, to where it gets really awkward because I sit there just deadpan staring at people going, who wants this? And it's amazing. The first time I ask it, everybody wants more money, of course, but only like 2 or 3 people raise their hands. And then after I ask it 2 or 3 times, everybody raises their hand. And then one person stands up, is like, I do, and they're jumping up and down. And then finally, in most cases, somebody runs up and takes it out of my hands. They make progress. They move towards their goals of making more money in this case. And it's funny, there's actually been once or twice where people I asked it like 10 times and they just sat there looking at me like I was crazy. You know what I finally did? I put it back in my stinking pocket and I kept it. If you're not willing to get off your hiney to come get this cash you want, Why would I hand it to you? Come on. It's interesting to see how all this can play a role. So as I sit here thinking about perfection versus progress, you know, it is the practice of dentistry. It's not the perfection of dentistry. It's the practice. You have to always be making progress at getting better at it, your clinical skills. For those of you who didn't realize it's funny when you think about that, the practice of dentistry. It took me a long time for that to dawn on me, that it's actually built into the name, practice. But do you practice your communication skills with your patients? Do you practice your communication skills with your teammates? Do you practice your clinical skills to grow them? Or do you think you've arrived at perfection? If you do, I got to tell you, you're wrong, dead wrong, and you're missing out on life. Because really the value in life is in the journey. And if you enjoy that journey and you take lessons along with you and you relish in it, your fulfillment will be so much more. And you know what will happen? You'll get this much closer to perfection. You'll never achieve it because there is no such thing. Until you can, score an 18 in a round of golf, there's no such thing as perfection. It doesn't exist. So my challenge to you as you sit here contemplating all this is, what can you do today? What action can you take to make progress? To make today a better day for you, your teammates, your office, and your patients? What progress can you make? Hope you enjoyed our show. Can't wait to see you next week. 8 o'clock Mountain, 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Have an awesome day. We'll talk to you later.
What if you could have the practice of your dreams? What's holding you back? Imagine a life where you have everything you ever wanted.